Hi, and welcome to the new normal. I'm your host, Lisa Davis, aka Litecoin Lisa, and today I have my friend Skullcap Savant joining us, and we're going to do a little playing around with the Vsteg. There's a lot of Oz out there, and I just found out Uncle Cliff retweeted me. I'm so excited. All right, we'll get started right after this. Please give us a like and share the video. Welcome back, Ben. It hasn't been that long, I guess. We went from Sunday to Wednesday, but we want to start doing these on a regular basis on Wednesdays. So that's why
if we can figure out the steady time to do it. That's the goal, right?
Yes. Try to be
maybe around right now, essentially. Yeah. Ish.
Yes. Right now ish is always good. So we ended, if you guys didn't watch the show from Sunday, please go watch it. It was really great. We got a lot of good comments as well. So that really encourages me that this is the kind of content that you guys want. And I'm happy to oblige because I love talking about all this stuff. So this is my retweet by Uncle Cliff, which goes hand in hand with what we were talking about on Sunday. And I didn't even know this. I just saw that he liked it. And I didn't see a notification that he tweeted it. So for me, that's confirmation. Like, yes, we are in this. Because I said, is that real Donald Trump with Ruta from Road to Ruta? And he retweeted it, showing that calm. So, and that's all about, the only way it could be more obvious, we would have to paint the Daytona Speedway gold with the words "in the Fed" at the finish. Because here's Trump with one of his little granddaughters, with her little Road to Ruta rainbow dress and her gold, and which my friend is bringing me back one of these hats from Vegas as I speak.
Cool.
It's not signed by Donald Trump, but.
And of course the red slippers, which is the nod to Oz, which is isn't it funny that it's truly probably a nod to Bix's work still, like we were discussing, even with the Super Bowl, the specific the black
rainbow currency
shirt with the black flat with the flower. Yeah, it's all pretty iconographic relative to, there's only one person that tied those two together, and it was he.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I thought it was pretty awesome.
Pretty poetic that it was pretty much the last day that he was active for maybe quite some time, if he finally holds true to his absence this time around. He usually stays away for 2 or 3 days. He's back.
We don't want him to be absent. Come back, Uncle Cliff. We love it. But I think he's working on a book right now, which he anticipates to be out next week.
Well, it sounds like he's just working on the publishing phase. It sounds like it's pretty much done, whatever he's writing about. But
it'll be interesting. I can't wait to own a book written by Cliff High. That'll be cool.
Yeah.
So we ended off with Oz. There were some things that my son's game and Fortnite came up with, and then over the weekend they came out with a new, and they're blowing up the bank, and they have these shooter things that look like drills, like Elon's drill, and they have like this rat guy, which I don't know if that was FTX.
Copyright strikes if you just show it.
Probably not.
It's only like a minute 30. You could just show it, then we could just break it down afterward.
Let me see that little trailer with the rat, because I'm pretty sure that was Zelensky. My son was like, "Look, he dresses like that Ukrainian president," and I was like,
"Speaking of dogs, I gotta get mine in just a second."
No, go ahead. A while. I'll pull this up and then we'll go through it real quick. Let's see. Essentials, 2 monkey nuts. Oh, the paperclip stuff. That. Oh, I had the original trailer, not the breaking down of the trailer. Well, we'll see. So the one I sent you is where the kid breaks it down, not just the trailer.
No, you didn't. You just sent me the raw one.
I did. Okay.
It's probably better to see just the raw one. And
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I must have sent twice. I
I
did.
can see if I can send it back to you. See if I can find it.
Here it is.
Yeah, you
I
got
found
it.
it.
Oh yeah, the breakdown. I didn't even watch the breakdown. I just saw that little text.
No, this is the one with the big gold mountain. Okay, add to stage. And
It's
I
worth
don't
watching this one too, maybe as the setup, right? Because this is the one that turned him onto it initially.
yes, so this is the original one
Mm-hmm.
that he saw, and where he's like, look at that gold mountain, and then see this bank, and the bank gets blown up. Are you guys able to see this? Are you watching the same thing I am? Yes.
Yep.
Okay. It's hard for me to switch back and forth. Oh gosh, but I need to pause it. Okay, so there's several things in here. So we saw the gold, then the bank being blown up.
Well, the first thing was the first thing I noticed was it's a bank, which goes a lot back to. Do you remember last year? In my opinion, this was kind of indicative of the Ohio Bank that blew up, the Chase Bank
Oh, that's
that was
right.
there on Market Street,
It was on the
and
plane like that.
yeah, and the 44 was there for the Jupiter. It was the same time as the Olympics, and the time 44 is really heavy in Vsteg relative to the Jupiter energy combating the Saturn energy is essentially what that is.
Okay.
It's what it seems to be anyway. But that was interesting. And then you've also got the phallic shaped
Yeah.
food with
Pickle
the
Man.
Pizzagate stuff
Named,
coming back up.
yeah, he's named Big Dill.
Big Till.
And he has see the gold and the dollar, the dill sign, the dollar sign. So I think that's indicative of the gold dollar. And then he gets his little friend. Here's where the Pizzagate stuff comes in.
Yeah.
His little hot dog friend.
So let's just watch it all the way through from this. Then we can go back. It's probably the best way for people to absorb it. It's just it's just music playing. I don't think anybody's
it
gonna
is.
see
So I'm just going to leave it muted because it's anyway obnoxious. But then this witch, she gets stolen again.
It's a heist. The other thing is what's going on is this is a heist, and what is USAID uncovering right now? All of the
blowing up the
heisting.
tunnels, the llama with the explosion with blowing up the tunnel. Now this one, the rail. So he goes sliding down that rail in the tunnel. I think that has to do with like the
underground kids.
Tunnel. Yeah. And then there's Midas.
That's the guy that, okay, so stop right there too. That's Sub-Zero too. Yeah. So Sub-Zero has to do with the whole Frozen Empire theme in my work.
Okay.
This goes back to the Ghostbusters decode I did last year.
Oh, okay.
It actually, and again, with the resurfacing of the themes, a lot of the same themes with the Frozen Empire stuff I covered last year were very similar to the Dark Winter. Remember the beginning of the whole administration, the Dark Winter was coming.
Which played along next to Game of Thrones doing Winter Comes, or what is it? Whatever that is with Game
Winter's Coming, yeah.
Yeah.
But the Frozen Empire has a lot to do with frozen assets, frozen exchanges, frozen movement, frozen trades.
Why even just the ice? Like ice.
Then you've got the Greenland and then the Antarctica themes. You see, it's actually indicative of all this stuff. It's wrapped up in a lot of these threads, but it's important. Its inclusion here was important. Yeah.
So there's ice with Midas, big deal. Now they're on a train with turret.
And then on the train right here, I'm pretty sure in the distance, right there, was Deadpool.
Oh.
Just really quick, but Deadpool got shot, and Deadpool was
turned silver.
Right, and then he was also the whole the movie about Oz. The Deadpool was just an Oz allegory.
Oh, I didn't.
The Deadpool Wolverine movie itself.
Okay.
And I remember it came out. Remember I was talking about at the time the blue screen. We had Project Blue Screen. For people unfamiliar with my work, there was a time back when Trump had all the assassination hubbub happening, when CrowdStrike also went down, and it got forgotten about a little bit because it was the week following the assassination attempt. And there was something in the steganography, in the stars, literally, in the astrology that we were decoding when we were using the Vsteg to analyze the astrology, that we were saying something was going to occur on July 19th. We had done an immense amount of research at the time decoding the Twisters movie
Okay,
that
yeah.
was coming out. And there was a significant piece of the Twisters movie trailer that tied it with the bridge collapse scenario that was in the Baltimore Bay. Remember the dolly?
Yeah, yeah.
So, and then in the Obama movie, where the boat hits the same thing, the cargo ship comes ashore.
Mm-hmm.
The boat's called the White Lion.
Mm-hmm.
And interestingly, in that Twisters movie, their truck is a white pickup with lion written right on the back in the movie. Dorothy V was the name of the big canister. There's your Vsteg, which is the big, canister full of sensors that they send up into the Twisters.
Yes.
Everybody's seen Wizard of Oz. That's how you get to Oz, is inside of a Twister, right?
Yeah.
So we were playing with all these themes that we were going to get dropped into Oz. The Twisters movie themes, and all of the hubbub around the bridges. There's more to the bridges. You know, watch my videos to really understand it. The ones from last year specifically, but we were going to get dropped into Oz. And I think that's what happened on the July 19th. July 19th was our forecast day for all this. And every once in a while I call. I've only done it like 3 times throughout the course of my work, where I've been so confident that there was going to be a day that something occurred. And this is one of it. It always has. But there was what I was calling at the time. I said, well, guys, we got it. We got Project Blue Screen. We were going to get Project Blue Beam, but something happened. I think there was a plan for that day, and it was thwarted potentially. And we got a play in the spell casting of it, and we didn't get our fake alien invasion. That even the remote viewing guys at the time were saying stuff like the moon is involved with this. What's going on? There were some unsatisfactory conclusions to some of the really big beats of that key week that they were looking at, that never really got into the public's sphere of kind of discussion, let's call it. And so we haven't really played out that scenario, but the Deadpool movie was right there launching that week. And so what we were looking at, again, in all of the lead up to it, was tied together with the Super Bowl because of the phi ratio. There was a lot of phi steganography in the Super Bowl last year. And Deadpool comes out as basically, I mean, hitting it pretty on the nose. If you ever watched the movie, it's pretty apparent all of these beats of Oz come about. You know how he's really have you seen the movie? The third one?
Deadpool? No.
Wolverine. I guess I'll just let you watch it then, but there's your background for it. Okay. And they didn't, but like you said, he turned silver, and I don't know what that's about. What, you know?
Well, I think that's because they're expecting like gold to save everything, but I think it's going to be the revalue of silver.
Oh yeah,
kind of looks like the Tin Man silver there. Once he zaps him,
the dark horse metal.
It's these words are also interesting. I guess it's its own hanging out on my necklace.
So you'd better watch out. I'm reckless. Big deal. Got it hanging on my necklace.
But that's the yellow D dollar. And then,
so
I don't know what the significance of then meeting Deadpool and Deadpool turning silver when he zaps him.
I don't know. He's wearing a mask at this point.
Yeah.
I don't know. The Donald Trump dollar, maybe. Who knows?
Maybe it's when we leave. Or what does it say? Swit like we about to clap these and show you just what this pick. I don't know.
But the rest of it, as I remember, it kind of plays out until it gets to the end here, where
there are these wolf or dog
Mhm.
marks on the
Yeah.
vault. That makes me wonder if these are the coins, and there's like a box or a computer here and a treasure chest here. Is this like, oh, Doge audited this, it's approved. These are the bars that stay, and then they become the
Well, it
entity.
seemed like by the end of this, the dogs were or the wolf was like the merchant at this little station. He was like the one, and
Here's
there's
where,
the
yeah, here's where
Zelensky.
the mouse Zelensky comes in again and steals it. So he just stole it from her, but now they're going to get it back. So now the big Doberman, now the dogs are getting the money back from the rat.
Mhm.
And if you look how the rat is dressed, he looks very much like Zelensky, like in the green. I've got another like frozen picture of him.
Yeah.
Look at all the V's on that
Yeah.
wolf, on his eyes,
Yeah.
V's, all that. So this was the screen. This is the rat down here. Midas. I don't know who this is, if that's Christy Noem or
I don't know who that one is.
or a Tulsi Gabbard, I guess. I don't know. And then the Mortal Kombat guy. These
Yeah,
were
his name is Sub-Zero is what his name is.
zero. Okay. And then this was the thing where my son was saying it's a driller. It's a hammer, but it's a driller. And you use this to bust these vaults open. And when you do, gold and health come pouring at you. And then notice what's in the background. Like the bank is over here on the corner. This is an arcade. This says something about something fishy. And then the pig, the pork, if you think about
Mhm.
all the Congress now,
Yep.
today,
They're
Elon,
adding their bills with pork, as they always say.
yes. But now today, Elon's calling for the IRS to audit, gosh, how many? It was like all of the Dems plus 7 Republicans because they've seen something sketchy and they believe that the Ukraine money is going back to those Congress men and women.
Like we suspected all along.
Like
It's
we
not like
all
that
suspect.
very like, "Oh my god, so surprising," you
I
know?
know. No, not really. Yeah.
Where's the Brunson case gonna be in all this? Jeez, it's just
Yeah,
it gets lost in the mix sometimes.
it does. It does for
But
sure.
yeah, it's I mean, so there's that. There's now, as you brought up, we've got the Pope. We were talking to Pope today. A little
Yes.
bit more of a
So,
purple and gold nod to our themes from our last
yeah,
conversation.
where that took me was this one. Oh, I thought I already had it pulled up. I'm sorry. Um, so I saw Elon tweet this little, um, they launched the Grok 3 or whatever. And when I saw this symbol, I was like, oh, wow, that looks like the one from The Economist on the
Mhm.
coin that we've all been waiting for. Then I went back and saw that it's 88. The 88th year. I thought it was 84. I don't know why I thought it was 84. And I was like, oh, is that the 88 miles per hour that when we have the flux capacitor and we can jump time and all this? Then the Pope is dying right now. They're practicing for his funeral, and he's 88. You had another 88. And
The
then
88 in the campaign, I was telling you about that. It's still text
yes,
88022 for anybody that wants to donate money to Trump in the campaign or to Trump's war chest fund. That's always been how you donate, is 88022.
88. I missed that one. Yeah. So that was interesting. Then there was a They Live episode, or not episode, but the movie. Somebody cut out a
Mhm.
part of the movie. Oh, and that movie was made in
Year
88.
2025,
Yep.
not only America, but the entire planet will be under the protection and the dominion of this power alliance.
And he just said in 2025. I'm going to play that
Mhm.
part again. This is a movie in
Our projections
1988.
show that by the year 2025, not only America, but the entire planet will be under the protection and the dominion of this power alliance. The gains have been substantial, both for ourselves and for you, the human power elite.
Anyway, they go on to show like their little weird alien faces and all that stuff in the tunnels.
Mhm.
And he takes him back in a tunnel and he goes, "Where are we?" And he said, "Well, we're behind the show. We're behind the scenes of the show," or something like that. Oh, I need to show that because that goes back to the missing queen.
Hey, waiter.
They're going to take him back here, and they show them the portals
Go on, take a closer look.
of how they
Attention commuters. Flight
move.
Alpha 7 to Andromeda is now ready for boarding. Please step to the transmission platform.
Yeah, this was always
Carry-on luggage must be held
the piece of it that was curious to
Thank
me.
you for waiting, and we hope you have a pleasant trip.
Listen how he explains it.
I don't know how it works exactly, but it has to do with some sort of gravitational lens deal, bending the light or some damn thing. But you can move from place to place, world to world if you want to.
Gravitational lens deal. Bending
Yeah,
light.
this was what always came up with my speculation when my mom's dad was in Border Patrol,
Oh yeah.
and he was very hush hush about a lot of stuff. It was very cryptic in a lot of different ways. And you always think about Men in Black, and then you always think about that scene. It's like the import export, and then just immigration on off planet. Who handles all that, right? Men in Black are really just glorified immigration agents when it boils down
Maybe.
to it.
Yeah. Interstellar
but-
immigration.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of 88s as it relates to, I mean, even Trump equals 88 in just English ordinal, by the way. I don't know if you knew that one. So Trump, makes a lot of sense. 88 and 22.
Yeah.
But 88 also comes out in gematria, both winter solstice and summer solstice equal 88. And I don't know if you've ever actually looked at why 88 is significant to the passage of time when it's encoded that way, but it actually is because if you were to track the moon and the sun, a complete rotation of our moons, well, that's not rotation, but a complete cycle of our lunar month, the 28 days, it yields a figure 8 in the sky. So if you were going to track the moon the entire time, it yields this figure 8. And then the same thing with the sun. If you were to track it all year, the annular pattern of it,
Makes sense.
you get an 8.
Infinity.
So when you're tracking moon, sun, the main measurement tools that we use to set our reference point standards for time, this is why traveling in time and time control rituals and mind control rituals relative to time, they typically they have this 88 pattern. It's because it's in the stars, as it usually goes, as they usually encode the symbols to have deep meaning like that. Otherwise, they don't really take root, I suspect, as deeply as they could, right?
Yeah. The one other thing.
And then the stuff like this, like,
Mojo was saying, and we had this pulled up to share because, with Elon tweeting the Grok symbol picture, I was like, oh, then I went straight to The Economist, and then all these 88s are coming together. And then you were showing these other Stellar and XRP.
You're starting to see the Saturn connection with all the, I mean, Saturn is nothing new in the logos or anything, Nike is Saturn, Toyota is Saturn, what else? Like, there's so many of them. Like, I can't think of them off the top of my head.
There's a Saturn company, a car company.
Well, the Saturn car company, yeah. But the Saturn is chronology. It's like the manipulation of time, really, is what it really boils down to with how it's used and how the iconography of it's included. Oh my gosh, you know what? It included with all the other beats we're going through today, plane crashes. Again, back
more
when we're going through the original mentions of The Economist magazine and Tencent and the dark winter, we also had plane crashes. Boeing was going through the 737.
What he's talking about right now with Tencent and all that that is the company you said that was tracking the death.
Yeah, we're getting there. That's our next step. People, I'm not going to get too far ahead of myself, but I just realized we have to mention that too, because I'm going through my notes from back then.
Okay. There's some parallels right now.
Yeah, essentially what I'm getting at, guys, is where we're leading with this is Lisa had noticed alongside a lot of the Road to Ruta. Oh, here we got Phoenix Enigma. This is my buddy. This is my buddy that I wanted to introduce you to.
Okay,
Lisa.
wonderful.
So I'm glad he actually joined your show.
Thanks for joining. Yeah.
Yeah, he's somebody that can enrich this particular discussion if you were to ever have him on.
That'd be great.
In his own with his own abilities. But anyway, so what were you saying was like alongside a lot of the gold and monetary reset rituals that we're finding blending through, a lot of it, again, like from our last video, we owe to Bix for showing us the original kind of thread of how to look at some of this stuff. But here it is finally bleeding through. The week that it happens at the Daytona 500, Cliff's tweeting about this again. Here we go. This feels like 5 years ago all over again. Almost like 5 years ago was like the false start. And the themes all around, all of the monetary reset seem to be very much the same, almost as if the beats are being cast again or something. I don't know.
There was another thing. There was a Q post where Trump was saying clean house, and it was on, it's like a Delta. Oh, did we talk about the fish?
Yeah, I don't think we talked
did.
about the fish. I saw the doomsday fish, though, the oarfish.
Did we talk about that on Sunday?
You and I texted about it yesterday. Yeah.
Okay, that's why. So there is this fit. Well, okay, so there's clean. We're all thinking, okay, blah, 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 I'm so excited. Elon's talking about giving these $5,000 checks. To me, that's meh, but that was done with COVID, whatever. They owe us millions. But it starts the conversation of how that would happen. And you just reverse the stream, whatever. Well, then I'm watching this lady. I think I tweeted it somewhere. And it's just back here earlier.
You're talking about Social Security reparations, essentially, right?
Basically, they were talking about using that as a way to track or be able to return funds to people or whatever, which would make sense. Here it is. So this is, there was this, you had sent me the oarfish were starting to show up, and they're called the doomsday fish. And they are really scary looking and ugly. JB Slayer posted this about it. It says they're rarely seen. They're deep sea, known as the oarfish, is washed ashore in Mexico. Make sure you guys are sharing. Legend is it's a creature known as a doomsday fish, only surfaces from the depths of the ocean when something catastrophic is going to happen. We, the media. Well, I just happened to be watching this sweet little Peter Santinello that I love. Not like that, but I love watching his shows. And he has this lady on, and you guys have to listen to this.
And I don't know if y'all talking about this, but we have jubilees, which is when there's the water, there's a lack of oxygen in the water, and the shrimp and crab and everything come to the surface. And that happens like when the moon is just right and the tides are just right. We're only one or two places in the whole world that happens. It's a natural phenomenon. And there's a bell in their courtyard where they would ring the bell years ago to alert all the neighbors that there was a jubilee happening, and everyone would come out with their ice chests and whatever and just gather it up, because you can stand at the shore and just take nets and fill your
We can
shrimp
just take nets.
and crab.
Oh, that's great.
So tying this all together, do you know Edgar Casey's prophecies relative to the now Gulf of America?
No, I do not.
You don't?
No.
So Well, Edgar Casey, do you know who he is?
I know he's like a prophetic guy. I'm not
Mhm.
up to speed. Like I've heard people talk about it, but I'm not like a study.
Well, he's
of-
like a Nostradamus type. He's like a
yeah,
modern Nostradamus, right? But very accurate. And he did so with he also had a tremendous ability with past life regression therapy, resolving and helping people in the times that even he was in get kind of back on their karmic path, because things were starting to get, people didn't really know the purpose. It almost seems like their mind control was starting to have some pretty early onset effects with the population and social order. And he helped a lot, it seems, with a lot of this. But alongside it, he made a lot of prophetic proclamations that have all come true, except everything that he was prescribing about Atlantis rising back from the ocean. And he said this would start in the Gulf of Mexico, off Cuba.
Really?
Yeah, and there's I'm not the guy that's covered this the most. It's another guy, actually. His name's Daniel Licht, and he's known as the dark journalist, and Alex Jones is having him on now.
Of course.
This is how weird
Yeah,
things
this is
are. Like,
yeah.
all of a
No,
sudden,
the woo
Daniel
is
Licht,
normal. Yeah.
what's that?
The woo is normal. That is
It's becoming that way. They're not talking about these topics on the Alex Jones show yet, but one of Daniel's biggest modes of investigation is what he calls the hot zone. And the hot zone is this area down there where there's all this activity in the 60s around JFK, the Cuban Missile Crisis. You have disappearing planes, even as far east as the Bermuda Triangle. There's just, weirdness there.
so then
Yeah.
Huntsville is so the scene that I think I'm sharing this from is from the episode on Peter Santinella that's called Operation Paperclip. And it's like wealthy Alabama. And there's this little Nazi or German, sorry, not Nazi, German lady that talks about being moved there and living there. And daddy was a scientist at NASA. And they show all this property that NASA owns there in Alabama that people don't really talk about. You hear about Cape Canaveral in Florida and you hear about all this, but in the Gulf, in Alabama, there is a huge NASA like base. I don't know what else to call it. And they don't film the buildings or the numbers on the buildings. Like, it was very bizarre.
This is kind of where Daniel's work gets to, is like there's a lot of weird stuff. Even in the 60s, John Lennon's buying plots of water in the middle of the Gulf. Like, what are you buying plots of water for? As if, because remember, Edgar Casey saying the Atlantis would rise from, and we'd see the most undeniable signs of Atlantis coming back up from the depths of the Gulf. I mean, if you think about it, there's a reason why the Templars landed here. We're talking about the Cathari that had all the archaeology. They were pretty good about taking that archaeology knowledge with them when they came over here. The Jolly Roger.
Yeah.
This is a different show that we can get into about the real symbology of the Jolly Roger, but the Jolly Roger is the Templars. It's the Cathari.
Yeah. Skull and cross.
And so they had reasons,
which is Harvard, which is like all these things tie together.
Yes. And then there's this too. Okay. This is maybe not a story
that no longer exists because the Gulf of Mexico no longer exists.
Oh, the Gulf of America. Sorry.
Yeah, the Gulf.
Yeah, he never saw that one coming. So Edgar Casey's prophecies are rendered false because he labeled it wrong. Why didn't he see that it was going to get renamed? So I just sent you an article about Polina Zalitsky. Okay. And she was a Russian scuba expert that went investigated this area in like 2001. I mean, look at the age of this article. She used LiDAR funded with one of these organizations. Let me see if one of these links actually takes. Yeah. So scroll down.
Okay.
And click on the link number B there.
Okay.
There you go. That's what she found under there. That's
Wow.
just off the west coast of Cuba.
Atlantis found giant sphinx among
Yeah.
Bermuda Triangle.
And again, this is the people are still reporting on this and weird off the beaten path internet pages. Atlantis Rising magazine reported on it. Atlantis Rising magazine went defunct in 2017. They were actually a really cool publication. But you know,
Well, and it's interesting that they're finding this in the Bermuda Triangle. Okay, if that goes back to the airplanes missing the plasma, if that's where this technology came from, free energy plasma, or it's still there, or it functions, I don't know. The magnets are right. I don't know. I don't know how that all goes together, but to me that makes sense that planes would disappear over the Bermuda Triangle if that's part of the genesis of 0 point technology.
Well, okay, so again, this is borrowing from what Daniel would probably tell you. Daniel's done the research on this. I'm just kind of regurgitating what he's done all this deep diving with. He even uses he'll reference Polina Zalitsky in his work sometimes, but like I said, I think the first time I came across her was in the Atlantis Rising expose they did about this very thing many years ago. But he would say that there was this thing in Atlantis called the Two-Eye Stone. Okay, and there were these two factions in Atlantis. You can almost think about them like Jedi versus Sith. You know, almost like Cathari versus Pharisees.
Okay.
You know, in a certain way, like you could.
I don't know.
They had a name. There was they were like the Brothers of Belial or something. Is what they called themselves. The dark ones. And then the like the Jedi type would almost be referred to as the followers of the one principle, the one order of everything comes from nothing kind of a thing, right? Makes sense. The ontology. One of them serve the ontology. One of them think they can subvert the ontology. And the Two-Eye Stone was like this crystal. And you know, if you look at maybe how crystals might be transmission mechanisms, how they might be storage mechanisms with the lattice that they have, you know, like way better than a hard drive could ever be. We just have to, there has to be an interface that we use them this way with, and we've lost touch with that. But let's say that's kind of how society was back then. And as he puts it, there is a Two-Eye Stone catastrophe that happens where one of these factions misuses the Two-Eye Stone, whatever it was for. It was looked at as like almost this fabled psionic thing with some sort of fabled power, very sought after, and it was kept in a temple, like in one of the main cities of the Atlantis Empire, and presumably it played a large part in the collapse when it got destroyed. Created a big magnetic anomaly. That magnetic anomaly created catastrophe. And what if that magnetic anomaly to this day still has effects, right? And is that the Bermuda Triangle? These are the kind of questions that get brought up in his research. So it's an interesting thought, right? I've always kind of resonated with his suppositions about this stuff. He goes deep like I do. There's no reason to think his thinking isn't at least sound and the trying to figure it out part of it. So
we have 88 watching right now.
That's funny.
I love it.
But anyway, there's your crash course. See, there's more meaning to this, and now we have some of this stuff happening, and you wonder, Edgar Casey. Edgar Casey was tied up with the Kennedys, and he was also tied up with the Hemingways. The Hemingways and the Kennedys are very close. And Papa Kennedy had an enclave down there in Cuba. So did the Hemingways. And there's a whole lore to that. And you and I can get into that because you're such a Kennedy geek some other time.
I know, I love all of it.
Yeah.
One last thing right before we go. I know I've got to boogie out of here. I've got another meeting, but the Q post that said clean house, I wanted to tell people they related it to get the popcorn this Friday and Saturday. Here, am I sharing? No, I'm not sharing. Oh, I hate this flipping back and forth. Get the popcorn Friday and Saturday. We'll deliver on the MAGA promise. POTUS knows he must clean house, all caps. And Trump just
Oh,
posted
because he
that.
just said the clean house. Yeah, and this is
Clean
one of the
house.
very original Q posts. That was from day 2. October 31st, 2017
Yeah,
would have been day
October
2 of the Q
Mhm.
posts.
So that is where we are. We are in the third act. Also, I shared a video that Janine had shared on her Telegram. I shared it to my Telegram, and it's this like keyboard kind of or HN group, Patriots. But this lady calls in, and she used to work in Hollywood, and she said it's a 3-act play. Haven't you heard of the triple act play? And she explains the first is like
Mhm.
setting up getting to know the characters, whatever. The second is the conflict, and then getting you to, and then now we are at the precipice of bringing everyone together. But it took this point, you have to go through the conflict and the setting up and getting to know the characters all to get to the third act where it brings people together and everyone's rooting for the same outcome, and that will be around the children. And that's what we're starting to see with there were news articles recently about these women who were being held captive, and having their eggs harvested every month and being given drugs. And anyway, more and more of that's going to come out. So that's where we are.
And sometimes, well, you've got the intro of a play, you've got act 1, act 2. There's this thing that's in opera. It's, everybody knows the intermission.
Yeah.
But people don't know the intermezzo. The intermezzo is a participation of the audience where it's an interlude, but it's one where the symphony takes over and they lead them to the next. They do some more extra exposition, and it takes much longer to get to the third act in some plays than in others. So if you're going to use that metaphor, I would say that, yeah, we've probably in these last 4 years, we've been living through that intermezzo period. At times it seemed like it took forever to even get to the third act because, quite frankly, everyone's looking at their watches like,
yeah, because we've already watched this part of the movie. Yeah. So you guys check that out. I do have a link in the description for you to follow Skullcap Savant on his Vsteg Cypher community and follow him on Twitter as well. We are going to keep doing these shows because they're just too much fun. I love this. So I really
I'm glad
appreciate
you're enjoying it. I do too.
Yes. All right. You guys take care and give us a like on the way out. It helps us.
See you later, guys. Thanks for